This is Advanced Math 11.2 notes. All right, so what we know already is that if it's positive, it's opening up. If it's negative, it's opening down. That's if x is being squared, and if y is being squared. If it's positive, it's opening to the right. If it's negative, it's opening to the left. Okay, now for the vertex, it's opposite of the inside, outside stays the same. So it's h comma k. Now, that is the same for this one. Opposite of the inside, outside stays the same. But be careful. Do not put h comma k. I mean, yes, you're going to put h comma k here. But the mistake kids make when they're writing it, when they're doing their work, is they put the k value down first and then the h value down second. Because they're so used to doing it just the first one goes there, the second one goes there. It is still opposite of the inside, outside stays the same, but this inside value goes in the y spot. The outside stays the same, goes in the x spot. Do you guys see that? Okay, equation for the axis of symmetry. For this one up here is x equals h. For this one down here is y equals k. As you can see, this one up here, it's x equals the x value of your vertex. This one here, it's y equals the y value of your vertex. This focus is h comma k plus c. This focus is h plus c comma k. You may be wondering what the heck is c, because I haven't even told you what c is. I will in just a little bit. The equation for the directrix is y equals k minus c. This directrix is x equals h minus c. And the same thing, I haven't even told you what all these things are. The equation for the axis of symmetry, or the focus, or the directrix. So I will draw all that stuff in the picture in just a few seconds. Write all the formulas down. So, you guys should know where your vertex is. Your vertex is there for all of them. Okay, and your axis of symmetry, that you should remember as well from previous math classes, back from as far as Math 1 or Math 2. For these two, you can tell that they are vertical lines, which makes them x equals lines, and that makes sense. They're x equals. They go through the vertex, which would make them the x value of the vertex, so that should make sense. Here, they're horizontal lines, which would make them y equal lines, so that should make sense. And again, they go through the vertex, which would make them y equals the y value of your vertex, which it does. Any questions? All right. Next piece is the focus and the directrix. Focus is a point in ordered pair. And it's always inside of the cup. I am only going to label one, but it's the focus for all of them. Focus, 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 focus. And the directrix is a line, and it's always outside. Same thing, I'm only labeling it here, but that's your directrix, directrix, directrix. A line. Focus is always a point in ordered pair. Directrix is always a line.
Focus is always inside the cup of the parabola.
And
What is the rule for the directrix?
it's always outside.
Okay.
So think of your parabola as a teacup. Your focus is always the sugar cube inside, and your directrix is always your plate holding up your teacup. Got it? Parabola is your teacup, focus is your sugar cube, directrix is your plate. Any questions? Okay. Now, one thing we will need to know is that the distance from your focus to your vertex is equidistance from your vertex to your directrix. What does equidistance mean? The what? The same, equal distance. Yes. The distance from your focus to your vertex is the same distance as your vertex to your directrix. We call that distance C. The focal length is what it's called. Okay, so I am going to write that down. Focal length is what it's called, and it's C equals 1 over 4A. That's the C here and here that we used in the formula there. Okay, so the length in all the pictures, I only highlighted it in that first image, but in all the pictures, the length from your focus to the vertex and the vertex to the directrix is always C, the focal length. And it's always the same in every picture. Equidistance. Any questions? Questions? All right. Find the vertex, axis of symmetry, focus, directrix, and sketch. All right. Vertex, axis of symmetry, focus, directrix. Sometimes they call the axis of symmetry the line of symmetry. Same thing. Axis of symmetry, line of symmetry, same thing. All right. So, this here is x equals parabolas are sideways. When y is being squared, y squared are sideways parabolas, x squareds are up and down parabolas. You do need to remember that. When y is being squared, they're sideways. It's positive, which means it's opening which way? To the right or to the left? To the right. Okay. Now, opposite of the inside, outside stays the same. Opposite of -4 is 4. Outside stays the same. 5 is going to stay 5. Now, here is what I'm saying where kids mess up. They do this, 4, 5, and that is wrong. They do that out of habit because they've done that for so long with the traditional parabolas, but because this is sideways, it's flipped around. Yes, it's opposite of the inside, but how do you know that that 4 goes over here? Anybody tell you what's a big hint? That the right, look at where the 4 is. Where the 4 is hanging out with what variable? So it should go in the y spot, which means the 5 was left to go in only one other spot, which is the x. Okay. Now, for me, well, let's use our formulas. We're using this one here because y is being squared. It's y equals k, so y equals what? 4. Now, I like to graph before I find anything else. I actually like to graph from the beginning before I even find AOS, but let's graph now. All right, which way is this parabola opening? To the right. Okay. Now, y equals 4. Y equals is a horizontal line like this going through 4. Does that match what my axis of symmetry should be? For this picture, does it match what my axis of symmetry should look like? Yes. Okay. I'm going to find my 1 over 4a. C equals 1 over 4a. A is 1 over 12. That's 4 over 12. What is 4 over 12 reduced to? 1/3. And 1 over 1/3 you multiply by the reciprocal. 1 times what? 3 over 1? What does C become? Okay. How many of you guys are visual? Like, give me the picture and I'm visual and I can work it out that way. How many of you guys are formula based? Like, give me the formula, I'm just going to work out the formula. Okay. You are going to do what works best for you. I'm visual. Don't give me another formula because I have enough formulas in my head. Just give me the picture, give me the number, and I'm going to work it out that way. That's me. If you are formula based, you are going to be using these formulas here. You have them, work it out. I'm going to show you that are formula people, picture people, how to work it out with the picture. Okay, I told you here what's going on with the C. So now I'm going to show you here how to work it out with the C going sideways. From here, we're going to go right and left 3. You that are formula people, you're using it here. Okay, so from here I'm going to go right 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And I like to put a star. And I'm going to go left. 1, 2, 3. And put my plate. That's my focus. That's my directrix. What is this as an ordered pair? 1, 2, 3. 8. So 8 comma what? 8 comma 4. Did anybody get that using the formula? Yes? Okay. This line here is an x equals line. X equals what? And I didn't mean to put a 1. I don't know why I did. X equals what? X equals what? 2. Did anybody get x equals 2 using the formula? All right. Does anybody want me to show you how to find those using the formula? Okay. Using the formula, what you would have done was h plus c comma k. This is h, this is k. So this here would have been 5 plus c, c is 3, comma k. 5 plus 3 is 8, comma 4. That worked. Here would have been x equals h minus c. H is 5 minus c minus 3, and 5 minus 3 is 2. Did it work? Okay. How many of you like the formulas? And like, I'm just going to use formulas because that works for me. How many of you are like, no, just give me the pictures and I can visually work it out? You do what works for you. Like, I'm a picture person. I'm going to use pictures. That's just the way my brain works. Again, you do what works best for you. Questions before I continue? Okay. Backside number 2. Okay. Number 2 is not in descriptive form.
Will there ever be a time where like you can't, like, or we'll have to use the formula, like and you can't not?
No, you can always go either or.
Okay.
I've always been a picture person, so I've always used like picture like ways, so it's always worked for me. Okay, number 2. Is it in the right formula at all, the right form? Does anybody know what we have to do to get it in the right form? We've done it, we did it last week for the circles. There's a process. What is that process called? I said we're going to have to do it a lot this unit. Complete the square. Oh, okay. So what do we do? First off, are we completing the square once or twice? This one only once. And so what I'm going to do is get the x squared and the 4x together and everything else to the other side. Okay. So x squared plus 4x and then equals negative 6y plus 2. And then I look here, does x squared have a leading coefficient that I need to factor out? No, that's good. That makes it a little bit easier. So I'm going to go straight to x squared plus 4x plus blank equals negative 6y plus 2 plus blank. Go ahead and cut it in half and square and fill in the blank on both sides. Plus blank plus blank. What is the blank on each side? 4. Double bubble or go straight to your quantity squared. Do you guys agree it's x plus 2 quantity squared? Okay. Now, what I want it to look like is this. It's x being squared, so I want it to look like this, y equals. So I want to get y by itself. So I'm going to subtract this 6 to the other side. Now, you don't have to do this, but for me, I actually am going to flop everything around because I want to get the y equals on this side. So I'm going to put the x plus 2 quantity squared on the other side. And there's only one more step I have left to do, and what is that? Divide everything by -6. Now, when I do that here, that's easy. This is easy. Here, think of that as a 1 there. So I'm going to write it like this. I'm going to bring that negative to the top and write it as a fractional coefficient. Why do I write it that way? Because I want that to be treated as an a value. And this is what I'm going to use to graph and find all of my bits and pieces. So does everyone see how I got the 1 divided by -6 to come out as a -1/6 as an a value? Okay. Questions? All right. Vertex, axis of symmetry, focus, directrix. For the vertex opposite of the inside, outside stays the same. And when you do opposite of the inside, you get -2. Who is the -2 hanging out with? X or Y? X, so it goes in the X spot, so it's -2, 1. Now, you can go straight to your formulas. For me, I like to graph and then see how everything is going to work. Which way is it going to open if X is being squared? Is it a traditional up-down or sideways? Up-down. Do you guys agree it's one we're used to from Math 1 and Math 2? Because it's negative, which direction is it opening? Down. Okay, so I would do that, and then I would go straight to this, and then I would find my axis of symmetry. For me, that's what I would do. What is my axis of symmetry? Is that an x equals or y equals if it's vertical? X equals what? Can you guys check if that matches your formula? According to this, it should be x equals the x value of your vertex. Did that match? Is it the x equals the x value of my vertex? Yeah? Okay. C equals 1/4a. -4/6 reduces to what? -2/3? And that's +1 times -3/2. Okay, here's the deal. Everybody listening? How many of you are using your formula? How many of you are just using the picture and doing it visually? Okay, if you are doing it visually, ignore the negative. Ignore the negative. And how far up and down from the vertex are you going to move? 3/2, 1.5. So you're going to go from, where are we at? -2 up 1, up 1.5, and down 1.5. Ignore the negative. Move up 1.5 and down 1.5. If you are using your formula, of course, you're going to pay attention to the negative and plug it into your formulas. Do it now. All right, so go ahead and work it out. All right. What did you guys get? -2 comma, anybody have it? -1/2? Yes? How many of you used your formula for that? Did anybody get it using just your picture and working it out that way? Does anybody want me to show it that way? Okay, so you're at -2, 1, and to get the focus, I know I have to go down because that's where the sugar cube would be inside, and I'm going to go down 1.5. That would be right there at -1/2. Yes? Okay. What did you guys get for the directrix? I would go up 1.5. Where would that be? Y equals what? Y equals what? What is it? 2.5? Did anybody get 5/2 instead? Okay. Anybody use the formula and get the same thing? Okay. Any questions? There will be decimals or fractions that you do have to get used to working with. You're more than welcome to use your calculators that have the fraction abilities. Questions?